days of corruption are creeping up on you. Bloodstains and destruction are getting the better of you. But it's hot, and if I ever get caught, then I really don't give a damn. Yes, it's hot, and if I ever get caught, then I really don't give a damn. Because the miracle of the age is creeping up on you. The miracle of the age is creeping up on you. The miracle, the miracle, the blind ego reduction make it easy for you. More names for destruction, they'll get the better of you. But it's hot, and if I ever get caught, then I really don't give a damn. Yes, it's hot, and if I ever get caught, then I really don't give a damn. Because the miracle of the age is creeping up on you. The miracle, the miracle, the from consumption are getting harder for you. More pain and destruction are in the cards for you. But it's hot, and if I ever get caught, then I really don't give a damn. Yes, it's hot, and if I ever get caught, then I really don't give a damn. Oh, it's hot, and if I ever get caught, then I really don't give a damn. Oh, it's hot, and if I ever get caught, then I really don't give a damn. Yes, it's hot, and if I ever get caught, then I really don't give a damn. Yes, it's hot, and if I ever get caught, then I really don't give a damn. Oh, it's hot, and if I ever get caught, then I really don't give a
Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian. Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian. Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian.
Good evening, fans of fantastic films, and welcome once again to the Drive-In Asylum Late Movie. Tonight we're the late movie. It's just me and my co-host Sam Panico. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Oh, I'm swell, really swell.
Yeah.
I had a better week than you did this week.
Yeah. It was a crazy week for me. You want me to discuss?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were going to say anything.
So, what day was that? Tuesday morning, I woke up and I couldn't breathe. Didn't know what was going on. So went to Med Express, which I work for, so nobody say anything bad. And went to Med Express, got my EKG done. Well, good. One thing was a little off. Maybe go to your PCP. Who knows? Or go to the emergency room if you're worried. I was worried. So I went to the emergency room. EKG went great. Getting ready to get signed out, and all of a sudden, so I fell asleep while I was waiting because I was tired. I didn't sleep all the night before. Whole crash team came into my room and said, "Hey, you're having a heart attack," and I was like, "Wow, really?" So they had paddles, everything, the whole 9 yards. So I ended up going down into a cath lab, which I've never done before. I didn't have a heart attack. Yeah, let's set that up. Went into a cath lab. They ran a catheter through my arm into my heart. Turns out that I have a myocardial bridging, which I had no idea what it was. Basically, if your heart looks like, say this is your heart, there's veins on top of your heart. The way my heart's built, the vein goes through it. So when my heart beats, it squeezes the vessels, and that makes it look like a heart attack and speeds it up to like 150 beats a minute. I've had this my entire life. Didn't know that. I always knew I had a heart murmur, but in the 70s when I was a kid and had it, we didn't have imaging like we have today. Also, who knew you could be awake and watch the inside of your heart while wires go through it and they point stuff out to you? So I lay there and he said, "Do you sure you're gonna watch? A lot of people don't want to watch." And I was like, "I like Lucio Fulci a lot. Let's watch it." And so yeah, so I watched it, and so I am on some new drugs. The working theory is that these drugs will help my heart less hardening of the heart. That'll help from squeezing. So magnesium and beta blockers for now. Yeah, and then potentially, like Stan said, it's a pretty simple operation. But I have to say, today I've had acid reflux symptoms, as Bill knows, for 2 years. Since this happened, I don't really have them anymore, which is crazy. I walked today for 45 minutes without getting winded. I have been walking, have been losing weight, have been doing stuff. So, yeah, it's been a crazy week. So I got out of the hospital Wednesday night, Wednesday at some point. And, man, it wasn't like X-Ray or any other of those
I was hoping that you'd have an adventure like that.
I went to the basement and some guy was following me and I kept jamming the buttons. Also, there's a big whirlpool down there and there were 2 dead kids in it.
Yeah. One of them was your nurse. Her name
was
Karen.
My nurse, and the other guy was an ambulance driver, and I heard him singing this song to the tune of Amazing Grace. It was crazy. My hospital is much bigger than Haddonfield Memorial. We actually have a really nice hospital here in Monongahela. I'm not gonna. This isn't an ad, even though I feel really glad how they treated me. However, right now I look like a junkie. If you guys can see it, I have a lot of bruising on both arms through here, and I'm not going to show this, but my chest hair, I have patches of chest, because they kept putting on EKG things, taking them off all day. Yeah, drove myself.
I love how you set that up and snatch it away from us.
I know, so it doesn't look good. I wanted it to grow back before I show it to you. But anywho, yeah, there's also a kid there that had eaten an apple and his mouth was all bloody. That was crazy. Yeah, it wasn't as cool as the Void or Halloween 2, which are the same hospital pretty much. But yeah, so that was my Tuesday, Wednesday. I texted Bill Wednesday night. He said, "What are you doing now?" I said, "Well, I'm working. I came back. I need to get caught up." So I worked Wednesday night, both my jobs, and went back to work on Thursday. So Why slow down? But I did sleep in a bit today, and I didn't work too much. I just worked on the website today. But thanks everybody. Thanks, Chris. So I feel good, and I think it'll just get better. Except now, of course, anytime the slightest thing happens, I'm like, well, this is it. So I'm a hypochondriac already. So just imagine.
Well, it has made you more aware of
Yeah.
the situation, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, you
And-
didn't know that you had this. So
Yeah, because as a
There you
kid,
go.
I had a heart murmur, and I had a lot of trouble with endurance and stuff as a kid. I couldn't run or anything. Not just because I was a fat kid, but you know what I mean. So anyway, I was a fat kid. But as I got older, my endurance improved. You know, I've wrestled 25 years now. I wrestled through this the other night too, like that. So obviously, I'm insane. So
yeah.
um, so I guess we'll see. I'm going setting up an appointment with a cardiologist and talking to my PCP on Monday. But everything seems to be good. Haven't had any other symptoms. My heart rate is currently, a monitor now, is 66, which is nice. Good resting heart rate. It's scary though when you're in there and it goes to 150, and it was like bouncing back and forth, and they were really freaking out in the hospital. So, and the only really bad part is I had to sleep with the heart monitor on, and I could not and 2 IVs, so I couldn't find a
Oh
good way.
man, that was the
Yeah.
worst part of being in the hospital. I was in my 20s. I got pneumonia, and I guess it got really bad. Like I had a really high fever, and I was delirious, and I could hear that fucking thing like right by my head, like dee, 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 dee.
Yeah.
I kept hearing voices coming out of it. I mean, it was like voices. It was probably the nurses because no one's quiet in a hospital anymore. But
Yeah.
it was kind of that used to drive me crazy. Like I would try so hard to fall asleep, and then you'd be awakened by one of the people coming in to collect your trash or something, and they'd be like, ha 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 ha, out in the hallway right outside your room, you know. So
I did have a gown that I took from the hospital. I was going to wear it tonight. Becca told me that was morbid, so I didn't wear the gown.
did you
Tonight.
steal a blonde wig too?
Yeah, exactly.
I want to see you in the hospital gown and a blonde wig. And
Yeah.
you'll look more like Sylvester Stallone from Nighthawks than you will like Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween 2, but
Yeah.
we'll all know what your cosplay is.
That'll be my next cosplay. So, yeah, I tried to make the most fun I could. I met a lot of nice people, I guess I should say. The nurses were really cool. My wife loved all of them because they all wanted to talk about true crime. I'm like, God, even in the hospital, I cannot escape 48
The
hours.
ID network.
Yeah, the ID network for 48 hours. So, anyways, that's my long-winded story. So, yeah, feeling better. It's weird to be able to walk that far as I did today without getting winded. So that feels like a good thing. Yeah.
Well, I'm
So-
certainly glad that you're feeling better. And not
Yeah.
only because I'd have to do the show by myself if you
Yes.
got sick.
Mm-hmm.
Although I probably could. This is probably one show that I probably could do if everyone abandoned me, because this movie is so near and dear to my heart. It's Deathdream.
Oh, yeah.
Bob
Becca said to
Clark's.
me during it, she said, "This has like 88% on Rotten Tomatoes." I said, yeah, we don't just show shitty movies. Like sometimes we show movies that are really good. This would be one of those times.
Well, this wasn't always considered a good movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it
It's been
got bad
really-
reviews at the time.
Yeah. I think today it's seen in a much better light than it was upon release.
Definitely. I remember, in fact, one of the things that I have to show you tonight, I'll get this up on screen as a teaser for the ads, which are amazing tonight. There are so many ads to look at tonight, all for tonight's feature film. It's just incredible. But this was actually, Leonard Maltin, who was the paragon of good taste as far as cinema. He gave this 1.5 stars.
Oh.
And this is the TV Guide synopsis was: a mother obsessed with the conviction that her son did not die in action accuses the State Department of lying.
That sounds like a drama.
What movie were they talking about? I mean, they got some of the details right.
That sounds like The Deer Hunter.
That's
I
like,
want to know what the one above it is, Bill. Is alleged to have been under the influence of a pornographic book. That sounds
7
good.
minutes.
Oh, that's 7 minutes. Holy shit! Wow.
Yeah. But this is pretty amazing. This is like saying that, there's this movie called Poltergeist, and what it's really about is this guy who's a realtor and he wants to quit, and he doesn't know how to tell his boss that he doesn't want to do this job anymore, and he manages to find the courage to quit.
Halloween's a movie about a girl who's in love with a guy but doesn't know how to tell him. Her friends make fun of her, and she tries to do her best to get a date to the prom.
She likes little kids.
And she's friends with a lot of kids.
So yeah, that's kind of strange, but
I love that.
1.5
Let her-
stars. 1.5 stars for Deathdream, because this is a very lurid film. It's disturbing, viscerally disturbing in a number of cases and ways. In fact, if you have any pets, you might want to hold them close, because
Yeah.
this movie has one very shocking scene in it that traumatized me as a child. So it's one of those movies. It's one of those things you saw on TV and you weren't, or at least for me, that I was the right age to see this on TV for the first time. If I'd been a little older, I could have gone and seen it in theaters, which I would have preferred. But still,
Yeah.
I mean, this allowed me to see it at a much younger age than I should have, probably, and it really upset me.
Yeah. Cubby has already voiced his displeasure about this movie being picked. So just so you know, I should have had a PSA from him.
Yeah, Vivi won't even come in here. She's so
Oh.
mad at me for showing this movie.
It is amazing. I think I've mentioned it before when we went to visit the Christmas Story house in Cleveland. That the city was like, really don't want Bob Clark to make a movie here, and that makes a lot of sense when you watched everything Bob Clark did before this. Like Black Christmas is a really mean movie. This movie is an incredibly dark and creepy movie. And then he did Porky's, and they're like, "What kind of movie are you going to make about Christmas in our town?" So I can definitely see that happening. And I think that when this came out in '74, and it's still not a time that many movies were. People maybe still weren't ready for the discussion about Vietnam. You know what I mean? Like it was still
this. Yeah, this
incredibly
was
fresh.
1974. That
Yeah.
it wasn't that long ago,
Mhm.
and it was still right there on the surface. So this was sort of, even though it's really just a retelling of the story, The Monkey's Paw,
Mhm.
it still has an even greater resonance.
That's one of my few acting roles, Bill. In high school, I was the old colonel that brings the monkey's paw to the house. And for some reason, I always had to play old people in plays. They would always like do old person. Yeah, my hair was probably already gray, but I could just yell in the background. And I had a British accent, which I won't do because my only British accent is like somebody from Monty Python dressed as a woman. It's very screamy. It's like Michael Caine all the time. It's like very bad. And yeah, I was the person that brought the monkey's paw to the family and explained how they and took it back at the end. So my high school experience, JV high school acting experience, very intimately familiar with the monkey's paw.
And there's been so many variations on it too. There was that thing from, was it Tales from the Crypt?
Yeah.
Either that or Vault of Horror. There was that story, and then there was also that made-for-TV movie, Dead of Night,
Yeah.
with the weird thing where the
Bobby.
son comes back, Bobby.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people have riffed on this over the years, and this is one of the best. I think this is one of my favorite horror films, really, of all
Oh, wow.
time.
This is the first Tom Savini movie too, and Savini
Yeah.
was very fresh from Vietnam too, so probably this movie resonated with him too as he was making it.
How could you be a young person and not talk about Vietnam in that era?
Yeah.
So, and
there's some really great actors in this too. John Marley was in The Godfather. He's the man who wakes up to find his
Yeah.
horse in the bed. He's also in Cassavetes' Faces, along with his wife Lynn Carlin. And I really think that he and the wife in this movie, even though that's why I like this movie. Like there would be an exploitation way of making this movie, and there would be the way that Bob Clark made it, where this movie is about the stages of grief a lot, and then also someone coming back and like circumventing those stages of grief, and what it's very much monkey's paw. What you wish for isn't what you get. Do you know what I mean? Like it would be best if he had never come back. And even his girlfriend says to him at one point, when she was writing the letters to him, Joanne says, she wrote to him, but she felt like he was gone before he even died. That like Vietnam like took him long before his death. And he's the scene where, spoiler, he starts to kind of decay before our eyes is really upsetting too. This movie is grisly.
Yeah, it's very uncomfortable in a number of places. The wife, especially the mother and wife, she is probably the worst thing. She's like the nightmare of a parent's grief over
Yeah.
losing a child, because like she knows that she knows something's wrong and she will not let herself accept it. So
Yeah.
that's a really uncomfortable thing to watch. It's about the disintegration of this family because of what happened in Vietnam.
And also, it's not to be a downer, but like this same situation like played itself out. Like my mom told me, like she grew up through Vietnam. It was like there would be multiple houses on the block where at least 4 or 5 houses where people had lost kids. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like whenever you see like the war memorials in your town, like those are people. It would be like imagining next door that person lost a son, that person lost a son. Like it's amazing, horrifying, and like this makes a microcosm of it, but it was a huge thing. So while still being an entertaining horror movie, which is hard, right? Because like people always talk about like it happens a lot today, like, hey, don't politicize horror movies and don't like this is a movie that does a really good job of it without taking away from the entertainment value of the movie.
Yeah, you said earlier that it wasn't an exploitation film. It wasn't made like an exploitation film, but in a lot of ways it was, because it was a low budget movie. They did approach it like a horror movie. Like instead of, there are gratuitous overtones in this movie that really didn't have to be there. It could have just been a
It's
drama.
not like a movie that I like, but I will say it's not like Maniac Cop or Uncle Sam is another. Uncle Sam would probably be a better one where it's like, a soldier comes back, turns into a zombie, and just goes wild, blowing up the town. You know what I mean? It's not to that level.
I posted the link on the Groovy Doom page just now. So any of you folks that don't already have the movie, or if you don't want to watch it, I don't know if you get commercials on YouTube or not. But you can watch
and it's
it
also
without
on Tubi.
commercials.
If folks like to watch it on Tubi, it's also there.
So,
and Blue Underground put out a great version of this too a couple of years ago, which is a really nice one.
okay, you know what? I hate to admit I don't even have that.
I have the old DVD one that's in a foil cover. That's how old the one I have is.
I'm not even sure how I own this movie. I know I have it on some format, but I think it might be on one of those budget things. Could it have
Super
been
8?
from a long time ago? Yeah, I wish I had the Super 8 for this. My life would have been changed if I could have watched all the grisly parts in Deathdream over and over again on a Super 8 digest. My movie like that was Squirm, so that shaped me in a different direction. If I had this one, it would have been a lot worse.
Yeah. I also there's a lot of like father, son, mother dynamics of like mother trying to protect the son, the father trying to be a good father. Like there's a lot of that stuff too in this. So it's good. I'm excited to watch it with everybody, and I'm just excited to watch movies and be able to watch movies.
Yeah.
Based on what yeah. So.
A lot of the reasons that I pick these movies is just because I want to watch them, and I know I won't make time for it any other way. Don't worry.
I 100% make next week's movies based on that.
Are you admitting this?
Because I was like, I'm 100% admitting it, yeah. And that teaser for next week's movies, they're both on the list that everybody helped pick.
Yeah.
for what the letterbox list of movies picks up. You can look through there and guess. But I'm excited to see these ads.
Okay, so we have the old Psycho exploitation film ad campaign. No one seated 5 minutes after the picture begins, which really doesn't make any sense because the thing that you really have to see that is at the beginning of this movie, it's already happened by the time the 5 minute mark comes around.
Yeah. I really like this ad's really graphic though. Like this is a real an eye pleasing ad though.
But we should mention that the title of the film was Dead of Night when it first
Yeah.
came out. This was in 1974 that it had its original theatrical run as Dead of Night. What is that Conrack film? Do you know what that is?
Which one is it?
Oh, are you looking at the screen? It's
Yeah, my screen is distorted, so I'm actually looking up on the phone. Conrack with John Voight. No, I have no idea.
I didn't know what that was either.
That's a really strange pairing.
Well, anyway, this was the later part of 1974. The earliest ads that I have for it are in August, and that seems to be when it premiered. There's one of it in Tampa. Here it is, where John Marley and several other cast members were actually at the theater.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this is the world premiere in Tampa.
That's kind of crazy, like because it's not like a Hollywood audience. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we're gonna send them all to Tampa.
Anyway, how amazing would it have been to? I wonder if Anya Ormsby was there.
Oh, if only. Wow. And
like
it's
this
funny,
movie.
the TV movie Dead at Night is, like you said, a very similar monkey's paw thing. And wow, this play with Fantastic Planet is like a crazy. I imagine there was a fair amount of weed smoking that night.
As there may have been tonight too.
Yeah, there may have been edibles and stuff tonight. Fantastic Planet. I just rewatched it for the New World week, and I've watched that movie 30 times, and I still really don't know what it's all about, but I like it.
Whoa.
Oh man, I love this. This one looks great.
The Longleaf Cinema. This was in Spartansburg, South Carolina, I believe.
Mm.
And it was one of my favorite movies this was right around the time I started doing the Groovy Doom page. And I started to notice that like there was often one theater that showed all the cool shit. And in Spartansburg, it was the Longleaf. They got all like the theatrical releases of the Italian films in the 80s.
I imagine that they were the Longleaf for the tobacco industry. That was considered like a good thing. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
yeah.
I never even thought of that. That's because you're smart and I'm not.
No, you're very smart.
It's the truth.
Wow. The Dead of Night.
So that was the run as Dead of Night in 1974. And you know how much it turns me on when a movie has more than one title, right?
Mm-hmm.
And someone mentioned in the chat, yeah, there was the TV film Dead of Night, not to be confused with this one. And the original Dead of Night, I think in the 40s. I can't remember the year.
Yeah, that's strangely how some scientists saw that, and that helped with the theory of relativity of how things can happen at multiple times. Like they like took a break from doing their research, some of the atomic bomb guys, and went and saw Dead of Night, which is a really good anthology film.
That's the one with the Marion or the ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I just watched it when I did the whole run of those, and the Bobby story is very similar to. It's appeared, the Dead of Night Bobby story has appeared in a couple things too. This is the poster that I best know this for.
The one that makes it look like Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry 2.
Yeah. It really looks like a cop drama kind of thing with this poster.
Yeah, I mean, technically, all this stuff does happen in the film, but this was very misleading.
Yeah.
But this was, the way they chose to sell it at the time, so they knew best. And I do like the title Deathdream.
Yeah, I like the Deathdream a lot. I also like that the Missouri Breaks and Breakheart Pass were playing at the same time. Breakheart Pass is one of my favorite Bronson movies. This is a Bill night at the theater, though. Everything that's playing here.
I
are all
don't know
Bill
what I would be most excited about seeing, other than I'm not really crazy about the Witchmaker,
No,
but
but Squirm and Scream and Scream Again feels like something you'd program. And
yeah.
and I like the electric in-car heaters screaming at you with exclamation point.
So
Yeah.
when you get the chills from Deathdream, you can warm up again.
That BSD thing on the left in there, that BSC thing coming out of the Portland, I have a feeling we're going to see that use at some point in Drive-In Asylum with like a DIA.
You may see it. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something that looks like it, kind of.
Yeah. But that seems like a design element that we might see again. Oh.
Now, this is obviously from later because the co-feature is Scared to Death.
Yeah. So this would be what, like late 70s, right?
No, this would have had to have been 1980.
Yeah, yeah. You're right.
No, it was 1981. Johnson City. And this was actually the Christmas Eve, 1981.
Wow. Wow.
You could go
I
see
like the tagline, it rings the victims up, hangs them up to die, but it really seems like this is going to be like a Plesioteca movie or like a Dirty Harry style movie.
And look, there was an X Late Show Friday and
Yeah.
Saturday.
Is that extra late or is that an X late show?
Scared to Death is one of my faves too. We have to do that on the show sometime.
Yeah.
We haven't yet, have we?
No, we have not.
I don't think we did.
Let me check. I have a list. If only I had a magic list that had all the movies that appeared on the show. I'll wait for a second here. If you guys ever want to see that, just go to my letterbox and you can look. And there is a list of not only all the movies we've shown on the show, but also a list of all the drinks with drink recipes.
Look what the co-feature is for this one, Sam. Trauma.
Oh,
not
which
Dario,
Trauma?
not Dario Argento's Trauma.
Yeah, the other one.
Yeah, I mean, how
We have
crazy
not
is
put
it?
Scared to Death, so that's being added to the other list with what the William Malone directed one.
Well, then, yeah, that is definitely in our future.
Yes, that is on the list. Wow, that and Trauma together is a nice double feature. This art looks. I imagine sometimes this art didn't always reproduce well in papers, but in this one it really does produce. The blacks being darker makes it look really nice.
Well, this was from 1978, and this is from Atlanta.
It's amazing. When I broke into advertising, we still had a pool they called, like amberliths and chromoliths, and like you would have to make the dot matrix patterns for all these kind of things, and they wouldn't always pull out right. Like there was like, especially because of how the paper and newsprint soaked up the ink,
Yeah.
So sometimes like something this dark might literally just blob out and be almost unable to be seen. So when you get one like this, it looks like this, it's really amazing.
Yeah, it's nice and clear.
Yeah.
How about this, Sam? The Devil's Wedding Night.
Oh, that's a Sam double feature.
This is a night you programmed.
Yeah, exactly. Satan is Coming is a great tagline for the Devil's Wedding Night. It's really awesome.
Cheeky.
Man.
Very cheeky.
A little cheeky, but I like it. Man, loving that ad.
The Deathdream release, by the way, I don't think I mentioned this. This was 1976 is when it got reissued with this title. So I guess they thought maybe like an action-oriented ad campaign might have sold the film a little bit better.
What's Devil's Crypt?
It's the Devil's Nightmare.
Ah, okay.
It's an AKA
Under-
for the Devil's Nightmare. I'm glad you saw that. That's why
Yeah.
I put this on there.
Yeah. You know the stuff I'm looking for.
I got you down.
Who was the devil's best man, Tracy? That's a great question. Sammy Davis Jr. That's who it was.
Anton LaVey.
Anton LaVey. Yeah.
Sammy Davis Jr. would have been an acceptable best man for Satan.
Yeah. I'm thinking because he was in that one special where the one TV movie that was a pilot where he was like Christopher Lee was the devil and hired him out. Also, supposed Church of Satan member Sammy Davis Jr. Wow, everything about that ad is great. I can't imagine seeing Breakheart Pass around the same time as Deathdream. Breakheart Pass has one of the greatest stunts where Bronson and the other guy hanging off the edge of the train, and it's like, there's no CGI in that scene. That's all just craziness. The same guy who's the stuntman did that was also one of the Ben-Hur stuntmen, and that's he set up that whole stunt sequence. Also, I knew Chris Fisnick would know what that Sammy Davis Jr. was. Poor devil. If only that had been a series, I would have loved it.
So you might think that this was the end for our little film. It's been released twice theatrically, right? It's been on TV. That was 1977. That ad that I showed that had the Leonard Maltin or whoever did that 1.5 stars. What do they know? That was
Judith
70.
Christ.
What did you say?
Judith Christ used to do a lot of the capsule reviews for TV Guide.
Oh, well, she actually liked cool movies. She liked, I think, Salem's Lot. She was really into. She might have even liked Phantasm. I can't remember what she said about that. But anyway, you would be wrong because our little movie tonight, Dead of Night, aka Deathdream, was reissued in 1981 as this. It Came from the Grave.
Wow. 7 years after it was originally released.
Now rated R somehow. It started out rated PG, but I'm sure this was just an R-rated movie because this was 1981, so they were competing with the slasher boom. Obviously, it wasn't only slashers that were selling in 81, but that was a biggie. They went with a spooky sort of ad campaign for this and calling It Came from the Grave. I'm pretty sure this was MPM that put this out as It Came from the Grave.
It looks like it was playing a lot of theaters, at least from Rochester. Or is that Dorchester? Sorry.
Yeah, I think this was Rochester, if I'm not mistaken.
Like four theaters is a pretty good run for that size town.
But it played everywhere, and they put it out with Blood Eaters. And you know what movie that is.
I've never seen Blood Eaters.
It's Toxic Zombies.
Oh, well, yes, I have seen it. Man, I love that Augusta Drive-In graphic on the top.
Mm-hmm.
That is wonderful.
You know I'm all about that.
I know, it's gorgeous. I like that the top looks professional and Blood Eaters just like someone just threw it out.
Yeah, it's like, they got a kid in art class to sketch the ad. Here's another MPM. Now I know it was MPM because Playgirl Gang was actually Sweet Sugar.
Oh, okay.
From 1972, I think, or 73.
That poster looks a lot like Street Girls that Roger Corman put out. It's a very similar pose. I like that they even tell you the radio station here. But then it like take this ad with you so you can remember. Tuned to 1590 in Petoskey, Michigan. Petoskey? Where's that at, Becca? That's around where Becca's from.
Well, this was the early 80s, so that technology was brand new. Like where you were newish anyway.
My dream as a kid was that I would live close enough to a drive-in that I could just listen to the movies on the radio every night.
Now here's another movie that it was always with, Night of the Demon, which is actually The Touch of Melissa, aka The Touch of Satan.
Yeah, wow.
But Horror of the Zombies was tacked onto this one, which I don't think MPM were the ones that originally released it as Horror of the Zombies. I could be wrong, but that seems like an add-on because you usually don't.
This whole ad seems like you're about to see a night of craziness.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is at the Brewer Drive-In. This is one of the new series I'm doing on Groovy Doom right
awesome.
now. It's theaters in Bangor, Maine, in the Bangor area. And I started a new
Stephen
thing.
King may have been at the showing.
I know. That's in the back of my mind every time I say it. Well, Stephen King wouldn't have gone to see something like this. He was one of those snobby horror guys. Did you ever read Das
Yeah,
Macabre? He was
I
like,
read Dance Macabre as a kid. Like, he doesn't like any of the movies that I like. He says they're all pedestrian.
yeah.
What's that word mean? Yeah.
Somehow he loved Night of the Living Dead more than any of
Yes.
the other stuff. I mean, and there is nothing like Night of the Living Dead, but that's the only thing. And it really was, it itself was an exploitation film. So I don't know where
It's
Steven.
in the Golden Turkey Awards book. Like, they listed Night of the Living Dead in there. Because I'm doing like a day in my April movie thon of Golden Turkey stuff, and I'm like, at least 70 to 80% of the Golden Turkey movies are actually really good. Like, fuck the med beds forever. Outside of like Dondi and movies like that, but fuck the med beds.
But one of the other things I'm doing on the Groovy Doom page now is I have 2 series going at the same time. Because I don't know, people tend to stop liking the posts when I start posting stuff that's like from the 30s and 40s. So I have to post stuff from the 70s and 80s to get people to actually react to the posts. Because I don't know, like Facebook, my numbers are always really weird on Facebook. And if you're watching the show and you're one of the folks that always likes my posts, thank you so much, because even if you don't like the movie and you go and like the post, you're helping you're helping the visibility of the page improve, because Facebook is draconian in the way that they distribute these things. I know that there's people that have liked the page, followed the page for years, and they don't see half the stuff I post. So
yeah,
whatever. It's social media, right? It Came from the Grave. So that was the last title that our film had. Theatrically, anyway. It was on home video as The Night Andy Died. Or no, The Night Andy Came Home, I think.
Oh, you would like if it was called The Night Andy Died.
That's the night Danny died, or Daniel died. I keep getting these nights that these guys are dying mixed up.
Oh, the night that God screamed. That's the worst night. What night is worse than that?
The night the screaming stopped.
Oh, well, yeah, there's that. Night after night after night after night, too.
Oh, those screams. I mean, there were at least 15 screams that came out of that house, and then they found the victims. I'm getting thirsty, so maybe we should do the cocktail, don't you think?
Yes.
I think that would be a good idea. I'm waiting for Robot Sam to load up.
Here comes Robot Sam. By the way, just to warn everybody, if you're making this drink's real strong. I'm excited about it.
Oh, I know what shirt you're wearing already.
I know. Becca zoomed into it, too. She was excited.
I love her cinematography. So here we go.
Hey guys, welcome to the drink recipe. This week is the Joanne's Letters. This is kind of a tiki-ish kind of drink. It's got a lot of ingredients, but it seems complicated, really not that complicated. We'll go slow. So we're gonna start, we mixed in the first couple shots. This is a half shot of tequila, a half shot of Midori, and a half shot of Chambord, as you can see here.
Makes a murky brownie green color.
Yeah, the Chambord's getting low. That little thing's getting low.
Sponsor time.
So we're gonna pour that in.
Into a mixer.
Yep, mixer filled with ice. And then we're gonna take orange juice, which is 1.5 ounces of orange juice. And remember last week we made that passion fruit syrup. We're gonna use 1/2 ounce of that. And let's put those together. And then finally, well, not finally, there's a lot more, but the next thing is we're gonna do some pineapple juice. This is 1/2 ounce of pineapple juice. And
An ounce and a half.
Ounce and a half, thank you very much. It's great to have a producer that helps you out. And then we're going to do a little dash. Let's see if I can do a dash. A dash doesn't seem like kind of thing a big oaf like me can handle. There we go. That's a dash.
You're not good at dashing.
No, at all.
Good
Not
at
dots,
You're good at dumping.
Good at dumping, good at dots, not good at dashing. Anyway, that's all.
Do you
I'm
know
here.
Morse code?
SOS. Okay, let's shake that up. Now, there's a second part of this we've never done in a recipe in here before, so we're gonna all work on it together. So this is, we're gonna pour the whole recipe in there. And then finally, you're gonna do a float, which is pretty simple. Basically what it is, you just slowly pour in. This is some high power rum. I use the Cruzan 151. You can pick the rum that you like. And you just go around it. Did we get a little on the outside? Maybe.
On the counter?
Yeah. So there you go. There it is. Let's see what this tastes like. Again, the ingredients are the ounce of high proof rum, half an ounce of tequila, half an ounce of Midori, half an ounce of Chambord, ounce and a half of orange juice, ounce and a half of pineapple juice, a dash of grenadine, and a half an ounce of passion fruit syrup. If you don't got that, you can just use simple syrup. And then you're gonna put a lot of ice in it. And man, that is pungent here. So
What's
this is
the name of the drink?
Joanne's letters for the movie Deathdream. You'll meet Joanne in the movie. She's been writing letters to her boyfriend who, spoiler warning, is dead in Vietnam, but he comes back alive, or does he? Who can say? Let's take a sip. That is strong. That is
Are they going to send you to Vietnam?
it's gonna give me flashbacks of when I did my 3 tours.
Yeah.
But man, this is really good. Sorry, Stolen Valor. Anyway, guys, Pazuzu and enjoy the movie.
Pazuzu. Oh, wait, you're still muted. Hang on. Okay. There.
And now I have it in a squeeze bottle.
It is
It
delicious.
goes right to my brain.
I didn't do the float though, obviously.
Yeah, you like it though?
It's tasty. I mean, you knew I liked all those ingredients already, didn't you?
Yeah, I definitely did. So I'm pretty excited how this one came out. I think it'll work very well for this.
So hey, guess what? I was on Newcastle After Dark this week.
I saw.
Did you?
I have the episode saved to watch because you're doing one of my favorite movies, Ruby.
Oh yeah. I had forgotten about how much I loved Ruby because I don't know, it was one of those movies that I just didn't like the first time I saw it. I was like, oh, that's not, what did I know? So it was kind of interesting. Oh no, we're not the double feature tonight. We can't have that overlay.
I'm putting my hand up on the screen so I don't have to see it.
God, what was I thinking when I clicked it? These are like tiny little icons that I'm looking at. Here's one.
I'm excited to talk to the Newcastle After Dark guys again because I went to the craziest restaurant in Newcastle and I have so many questions about it. So it's only open one day a week. How can this work? The Lady of the Dukes. How does this place exist? It's packed. There was like thousands, like literally, they hold like 500 people in the place. And it's like a wedding reception sized place, and they only serve like 8 dishes. It's one of the it's the best pasta I've ever had. The meatball sandwiches, unbelievable. But how is this a sustainable model to be able to open a day a week? I don't know. For 80 years, it's been around forever. It was started by a group of ladies whose husbands wouldn't let them join their social club, so they said, "Well, we'll just cook the food because that's what old Italian ladies did when." We've seen enough Italian movies. We know how women get treated. And they started this place, the Lady of the Dukes, and it's still the guys' club's gone. The women's club still exists. It's really amazing. So yeah, there's a lot to eat in Newcastle. Newcastle is a crazy town. So
I used to eat at a great restaurant there called the Starwood.
Oh yeah.
Have you been to the Starwood?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
They have the best creme brulee I've ever tasted. I mean, the food's good too.
Yeah.
Not everything. I've gotten a couple things at the Starwood I didn't think were great. It's hard for me to find a place that does a steak salad the way I like. Because, a steak salad's only good if you get it and the meat on top is good, but it's always chewy because the restaurants use it unless you want to pay through the nose, But they have a fantastic Anything that you get that's grilled there is pretty good.
And they have lamb, I think, there, don't they?
Yes.
Yes, that's what
Yeah.
I think they were known for when I was a kid. Yeah.
I mean, they have some interesting things, you know. I usually didn't try the specials because they were so exotic. I just always wanted a steak when I went there.
There used to be a really good place, something that half the audience won't know, the town in Rochester, PA. There's a place called the Hilltop that had really good steak sandwiches. I mean, steak salads, and they did it the right way. And they always used just red wine vinegar dressing on top. And we'd go there just for that when I was a kid. I don't think it's there anymore. But it was literally like a Dario Argento place came to life because they had red lighting in the bar and no other lighting. And I remember when I was a kid, like it looked like the room you're sitting in now, but it was all like red light and then like amber windows. It really felt like you were in another dimension. I always felt like kind of like, oh, wow, I'm actually getting to go to a bar when I was a kid. One of the many places where my dad told me, just shut up. Nobody wants to hear you. Just these people have all been working all day. Just let them drink.
It was great. They had a wardrobe for me and everything when I did their show. Newcastle After
I'm
Dark.
amazed by this.
They told me about it too. That I was like, what? Well, because the last time I just wore what I wear on this show. I wore that jacket, and I was like, well, I that's what I wore last time I was on. And I asked them this time, I'm like, what do you want me to wear? And they're like, oh, we already have your outfit for you. So I had that white thing. If you notice the first segment, I have the tie on wrong. It's on the outside of the vest because I don't ever wear a vest. So I wasn't thinking about that. I can't look nicer than those guys, though.
Anything. They get nothing when you guest on this show.
Yeah.
You just get to be on.
You don't even come to our. Well, a couple people have come to my house. No one's come to your house yet.
No, I don't even have a house. That's the secret of the show.
That's just
Becky just said yes, we do. So we do have a house. Story just in. But yeah, it's I just think it's amazing that they did that for you.
They're so nice. Plus, they bought me a really nice bottle of scotch. They had a cigar waiting for me. Those guys are fab.
Yeah.
So go watch it if you haven't watched it yet. It's Newcastle After Dark on YouTube. Subscribe to their channel, please. And once you've subscribed to Groovy Doom, please subscribe to Groovy Doom. I don't care if you ever watch anything on there.
I do because I like occasionally seeing my my face pop up on my own TV. It's very disconcerting and cool when it happens.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's super weird. Like, oh wow, I made it. I'm in a video. Austin Trinick said that was when he was on the show. That was when his daughter realized he does stuff. She's like, Daddy's on the TV. He's like, Daddy's done a lot of stuff. He's like, yeah, I don't know what you do.
I love that our show was what he finally got recognized for.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he said. He said, that's the first time my daughter's been excited about me in a while. And I was like, cool.
He's done so much more than so much bigger things. It's our show that got him noticed.
Yeah, that's kind of cool, though.
Right on.
Hey, I'll tell you guys, last night before we start, or Thursday night, I got to see Found Footage Fest live in person at Bottle Rocket, which is a new place in Pittsburgh. It's only been around less than a year, I think. Up in Allentown, between Allentown and Mount Oliver neighborhoods. And it's an old social hall that got turned into like the most hipstery of all hipster bars. But it was really cool to see Found Footage guys live and talk to them. The new show, if they come to tour in your area, go see it. It's amazing. There's some incredible things in this one. But also, the opener was Lenore's Midnight Rental. I'm wearing the T-shirt of it, but it's on their channel. And she is I said it to Bill, she's from Cleveland and a horror hostess, much like Elvira. And she actually showed clips from Death Spa, which was super exciting. So, and did like kind of commentary over them. Trying to tell people why you should watch Death Spa. And she also has a clip tape of interviews that Stephen King did on cocaine that she played, which are out of this world. There's one where he really scares a librarian talking about how he considers himself a jet pilot. It's one of the most cocaine out interviews, even more than he was in the Maximum Overdrive trailer. And then she showed clips from Maximum Overdrive while narrating them. But her show's really great too. But yeah, I had a blast, and man, newfound footage show is wonderful. There's a video in it that's one of the most disgusting videos I've ever seen of people that learn how to poop 5-foot turds, and they put them in bathtubs and take pictures of them.
Wait, you learn how to? This
It's
is
a guy that
learned
has
skill.
a seminar. What's it called? Elimination.
Elimination.
Elimination. It's a 3-part video series, and then you go to one of those hotel ballrooms to meet him. You know, like one of the seminars, and he teaches you how to finally be able to go to the bathroom. He says most people
You've been doing it wrong your whole life.
you've been doing it wrong your whole life, and most people that take his class can poop up to at the least 3-foot long turds. And then everybody that graduates his program takes pictures and shows them. I couldn't stop laughing. Like, it's very upsetting. There's also a hunks and babes section where the babe section was a video called Lingerie Through History, which is literally just history, like sections about history where they dryly talk about history. And then a woman walks onto a green screen and wearing lingerie. It's the weirdest video. The hunks video is just guys stripping in costumes. There's a guy stripping as Indiana Jones with the python comes out of his pants, and he goes, I can't believe there's snakes. Who said there'd be snakes? It's pretty awesome. A great time was had by all. So, yeah. If you guys get a chance to go or watch any other stuff on their site or watch Lenore's Midnight
Come on, Vivi.
Rental, it's a really fun show. I think there's 3 or 4 episodes up.
You want to see Vivi's horrible haircut?
I do want to see Vivi's. Oh my God, Vivi.
Look what they did to her.
They made her, she's half the dog she used to be.
I was so mad. I was absolutely furious when I saw her because like I brushed her the day before because you know they have really thick hair and I know that. I don't expect them to spend 3 hours on her, but they called Mark while he was, at an eye appointment. They interrupted his eye exam and they were like, "Oh, well, she has some nodding. So would it be okay if we cut her shorter than we discussed?" And he was, in the middle of an eye exam, he's like, "Sure." And he picks her up, and that's what she looks like. I was so angry.
We've been cutting Cubby's hair.
It's a 6-day process.
It's a 6-day process. Literally, we do a little bit every day, and then he inevitably loses his mind and bites me. So
yeah,
he's bit me several times. Right now, the top of his coat is done. The bottom, he is like a mullet, short on top, long on the bottom, legs full of fur. He will not get on camera. He's embarrassed. When he went out the other night, he wore a T-shirt to cover it up. Yeah, it's so I don't think he could ever go to the groomer. I just don't.
Not without a tranquilizer.
We do have a couple trazodones that we give him every once. So I think when we finish him up this week, we're gonna hit him with those. I'm gonna hit him with a dart gun, and then I'm like, "Hey, Cubby," and it's like. And I just like blow it. That's my blow gun. And I just hit him and it goes right in the neck and he goes, "Oh man." And then he wakes up and he's bald.
You don't have a pill you could put in a dog treat and give to him?
You can't even do that. You got to grind it up with a pestle, put it in a syringe, and squirt. I have to hold him and hold his mouth open while he's biting me. And Becca squirts it in his mouth. It's the most ridiculous. It's like having a kid would be easier. But such is life.
Well, I put the link to Deathdream on the Groovy Doom page, so you can go pick it up there. Or you probably have this on home media, unlike me. So you can go watch it. Come back after the movie. We'll have lots more to say about one of our favorite films, Bob Clark's 1974 screamer, Deathdream.